Hi, Mpoomy.
How are you?
Thanks. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Can you hear me
I
well?
can hear you good and well.
Okay, perfect.
Are we projecting?
No, well, I am a bit because the distance between my table and my, what do you call this? My tripod is
Yeah.
quite hectic. But if you can hear me, then I'm good.
We can hear
You
you.
look lovely, by the way.
Thank you. With my African goddess. Likewise. I'm obsessed with the Sunday Nuggets edition that you did for Mother's Day.
Oh,
My goodness. It's not reminding me that I'm a mom now.
I know. It was so real. And I think just reading everyone's experiences with their mother was just amazing. So we first shared it in the office, and I was like, oh, everyone has to read this because I think someone's story is between all of us in the team.
Yeah. No, it was beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I loved it. Oh, let's see how many people have joined. Into it. Yeah, good on your side?
Yes, I'm good on my side. I see people are saying hello, evening, everyone. Good evening, everybody.
Evening, everybody.
You might hear kids on my side. That's just because I'm a mom. So someone might barge in. Someone will knock on the window. I have no control. Once it's after 5 p.m., I have zero control.
Exactly. I ran away.
Okay.
What? We'll stick around at the office. Just a little bit. I know.
You made a good decision.
A 5-year-old and a 9-month-old, but
good.
Cool. I think there's my sidekick saying we can go. So hi guys, officially welcome to our first Instagram live as One Life Insurance. By way of introduction, my name is Andiswa. I am the communications manager here at One Life, and of course I'm joined by the beautiful, wait for the list, author, podcaster, mother, wife, businesswoman, that is Mpoomy Ledwaba. Welcome, Mpoomy.
Thank you so much. You know, when they introduce you, always never know, like, do I clap? Do I do a drum roll? Do I sit and smile? But I think it comes with learning to receive compliments and just being proud of the work you do versus shying away, which is the easier way.
Exactly. So some of you guys tonight might be asking yourselves, what does Mpoomy Ledwaba and One Life Insurance have in common? For me, in essence, we both have a passion for changing lives. And that's why we are so excited to be partnering with Mpoomy to bring the Wisdom and Wellness podcast tour to South Africa and really just extending the message around life-changing lessons. If you've been following Mpoomy and One Life, you would know that our partnership began earlier on in the year with our first installment of the Wisdom and Wellness podcast. That took place in Cape Town. Guys, if you weren't able to be in the room, please do visit the Wisdom and Wellness YouTube channel as well as the One Life YouTube channel, and you will catch the recording of that explosive session that we had. So tonight, besides sharing and learning from each other, we will be gearing up for the Johannesburg leg of the Wisdom and Wellness Live podcast. That's happening on the 14th of June. Yes. So your Youth Day weekend is sorted. Mpoomy, how does that sound?
I think that sounds pretty good. I mean, it's a week before I leave the country. No, it's a day before I leave the country. So I think it's a good time to get together.
Beautiful. Yeah. Do you need a +1?
Asambe.
So guys, the live recording that's happening in Johannesburg is by invitation only, but just by hopping on tonight, you do get a chance to win exclusive double tickets to be in the room on the 14th, where Mpoomy is going to be taking the reins on all things life life-changing lessons. All you have to do is comment, engage, share your stories, join the conversation, guys, because that's what it's all about. It's about us mirroring each other, learning from each other, sharing the life-changing lessons, because you never know what you put on the comments today might make an impact on someone's life. Yeah. So jumping straight into it, Mpoomy, I'm going to take a page out of your literal book.
Okay.
Yeah. Where you highlighted a paragraph around the power of embracing your first, embracing the unknown and the lessons that you took out of it. For the guys that haven't had a chance to get the book, I'm going to read it for you so that we are on the same. Yeah, I'm putting my reading voice now.
Oh, nice. We're listening.
I lied about my first flight because I didn't want pity. I lied about Cape Town because I wanted to fit in. In hindsight, I robbed myself of a beautiful first-time experience because I wanted to feel a part of the gang.
Yeah.
I love about growing up. Although I still put on different wings to flock with birds who are doing incredible things, I no longer lie. I own my first and gladly ask for help for how to buy my seatbelt. And I think this is so profound and so in line with what you're trying to achieve with Taking Wisdom and Wellness podcast on tour around the life-changing lessons. Can you take us back to this day and the lessons that you took from it? But before you go, for me, guys, if you can just share your first experiences, the lessons that you learned in the comments. Remember, the more you engage, you're going to stand a chance to win those double tickets to be on the room on the 14th. So go for it, Mpoomy.
Over to me. You know what's crazy that you would read that part? So I was in Franschhoek this weekend, and obviously you have to fly to Cape Town and drive like an hour and a half out. And I was in Cape Town again like 2 weeks ago. So I frequent Cape Town quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I fly to Cape Town quite a lot for work. And as I was flying back last night at about 8, I'm like sitting in the flight next to a window seat, which has no window for some reason. And I'm buckling up and so casually, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to get home. Like, I hate this whole process. And it hit me, and I was like, there was a time in your life where you would have killed to get on a flight, and now this is what you do on a weekly basis. Like, it's just another mode of transport. And I share this because when you share that story, that moment felt like, oh, what if it never happens again? I don't want to be seen as someone who doesn't get opportunities. Let me just fit in. But what I missed out on was that at that moment, I valued what was happening. I valued flying. I valued Cape Town because it was so foreign to me. Little did I know that it would become my life. And so bring it back to life lessons. It's so important to honor the moment, to respect the moment, and to ask for help, because it's not the end of the world. Life is going to get better. You're going to have more of those moments, and you're going to have a lot. And as you grow higher, as you embrace your calling, as you embrace who you are, you're going to have most of your life is going to require for you to ask for help. So the sooner you learn it, the quicker. I mean, as you're reading it now, it's actually, it's humbling. It feels like another life lesson I'm learning in real time. As we're building the Wisdom and Wellness House, I had a challenge this afternoon where it made me feel like saying, I don't want to do it anymore. But as you're reading, I'm like, I think as a 12-year-old girl struggling with buckling my belt, I felt like, I should have just stayed at home. Is it even worth it?
Yeah.
Instead of just taking the moment for what it is. And I think you've just reminded me that it doesn't start here. It doesn't stop here. It's just another first of something. And for as long as I'm honest with my life, for as long as I strive, for as long as I seek to live purposefully, I'm going to have a lot of these moments where I need to ask for help, honor the moment, and be okay with being a first-timer.
That is beautiful, beautiful, Mpoomy. And I think that really brings the topic of tonight to a beautiful start, because essentially life-changing lessons is about having those difficult conversations in comfortable space and being brave enough to ask for help.
Yeah.
And having the confidence, you know, in your fear, having that confidence to have a voice. And I think you guys and the Wisdom and Wellness team really did this very well at the Cape Town live recording. You brought a softness to a very difficult subject, you know, around the financial planning, especially in line with the loss of a life. So as One Life Insurance, without getting too corporate on you guys, we ran a life-changing lessons survey just to gauge how South Africans feel about having conversations around financial planning and, you know, the day that your loved one is no longer around. And it's very interesting that the fear of talking and having honest conversations with family even was sitting at 53%. 53% of South Africans feel uncomfortable having financial planning discussions, especially around the loss of loved ones. What's your take on that, Mpoomy?
No, I think I can acknowledge that. I was at a during my talk, and I was talking about how I got into wellness, and one of the reasons why I became such a huge advocate is because we lost a sister, a cousin, to suicide, and she had started almost writing about mental health, but this was about 4 or 5 years ago, so it hadn't gotten such a loud voice as it has now, and the research wasn't as advanced for us, at least, right? And one of the things I said at her funeral was, I will make sure that for the rest of my life, I have a voice and I speak on mental health, right? And that's how I landed in therapy, and I started the work with Wisdom and Wellness. But what I realized and understood with my family is that a lot of them actually didn't go to therapy. We never really spoke about what happened. Yes, we speak about we miss her, but there's this whole week that happens where everyone is in shock, everyone is just planning, everyone's running around, that we never get to take a moment to be like, actually, what happened? How has this affected you? How are you dealing? Instead of saying, how are you okay? And then we just say, oh, some days are better than this.
Yeah.
But to actually talk about what it actually means in a family. So, and even just outside of death, there's a lot of things that happen within our families that are uncomfortable, but we've never grown up creating that space to be honest, to be vulnerable. And that's because of fear. And I've found that each family needs one courageous person to have the conversation. And I remember as we were doing our financial planning for our family, I remember calling my mom and I said, Mom, Dad, you guys have these businesses and you've got all these properties and all of that. Have you fixed your will? Because I have 4 siblings. And I said, I don't want to not have good relationships with my siblings because those things are not in order. Welcome, Kulu, are these things in order? Because taking up a funeral policy, it feels like a large thing, but on a month-to-month, literally you spend that money on data, you know, and it could save so much drama for a family later on. And so, I mean, as you make that initial call, it's uncomfortable, but every family needs one person who will start the uncomfortable conversations until it becomes normal. I think that's how generational wealth, generational knowledge, generational transfer happens, with one person who says, you know, I'm going to start a new thing here. We don't have to do things the old way. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be fun. But eventually, when everyone sees how it's working out for us, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And I know I'm picking here and here, but it's because I want to just, I just want to paint a picture of how uncomfortable conversations like the flying is. It's part of life. We're going to have them. So you might as well start with the ones that are going to make our lives slightly better.
No, that's really profound, Mpoomy. And I think a lot of that has to do with education.
There we go.
And education, I don't mean, you know, going to physical school, but like getting the knowledge that you need that will equip you to have such conversations, and having platforms available that help you have that conversation. How did Wisdom and Wellness come about? What is it about?
Yeah. So Wisdom and Wellness basically started, as I mentioned. Sorry, is everything fine? Okay. Wisdom and Wellness started just after I had my daughter Nuri, my firstborn, and at the time I don't even know how the name came about, so I can't really answer that. But I was struggling with postpartum depression, right? And it was all these feelings. There was a lot happening in my life, and then I decided, okay, cool, I'm gonna go to therapy. And after going to therapy, my therapist said to me, look, you need to do something outside of yourself. You know, one, I needed to lose weight. Two, I just needed to. And the thing with depression or postpartum depression is that you get so roped into your own mind that you think that's all that matters. And that's why she said, do something outside of yourself so that you can see that life is bigger, not in a disrespectful way, but it's like when you go and take a walk in nature and you look at the trees and you're like, you know, I've got problems, but look at how big life is. Like, I'm small compared to everything happening, and not in a minimizing way, but in a way where you realize that there's a new day, there's something else happening, you know. And so I went to therapy, and she said, look, do something that helps other people as well. And so then I started a challenge called Speak Life September. And the point was that I was in a slump because I was always complaining. And I said to people, look, for 30 days, we're not going to complain. We're going to just be grateful. We're going to exercise. I can't remember what the exercise was. We're going to eat this way for 30 days. Who's in?
Easy.
And a lot of people like, we're in. In fact, we trended the next day on Twitter. X. It's called X now. Sorry. It's called X. And we trended, and then we did this challenge, and afterwards the testimonies were incredible. People were like, I finally lost weight, this is happening, etc. What's the next thing? And so I kept having challenges, and I started recognizing a need, one, for community, especially post-COVID. Two is that we mental health as a conversation, but not with large terms that people don't understand, but simple things like, you know, not everybody's going to go to a therapist, but you can journal your feelings, you can work out, you can do things like that. So that's how it started. And over time, I started being able to identify what exactly the purpose is. And then the conversations happened on podcasts, and it's grown over time. But ultimately, it's to really inspire, equip, and empower people to live holistic and purposeful lives.
Already, I can't wait, guys, to be in the room on the 14th of June, where we're really going to unpack this a little bit further. And as you're saying, Mpoomy, the word that just keeps popping in my mind is the word legacy. Legacy. You are building a legacy here with wisdom and wellness. So for the purposes of tonight's discussion, what do you think is the importance of leaving a financial legacy? Or the term that we use in the industry, generational wealth, because that's different people, you know. Some people might think that financial legacy is getting assets, it's having the most expensive collectibles that you need for your kids, starting a business. What does it look like, and what's the importance of leaving a financial legacy?
Sure, I think that's such an important question. My dad once said something so powerful to my husband and I. He sat us down and he said, Brendan and Mpoomy, your mom and I started at -0 in life, basically the bottom of the barrel, where we had nothing. My dad was not educated. He left school in like grade 3. And basically they struggled their way. And when we were born, my parents managed to get us through good schools. And he said he got us to a level of 1 or 5 or whatever. And he said the advantage with you guys is that you're not starting at 0. And so our dream for you is that you do better than us.
Yes.
The goal is not that you do as well as us. You wouldn't have done your part yet. So if we're at the same level, you haven't done your part. But once you do better than your mother and I, then you have made it. And so the expectation for your kid. But the only reason he could say that is whilst he still is alive, his living legacy is that he could take us to a good school. Whereas his parents couldn't take him to school, his legacy was taking us to a good school. So now my children's legacy is a good school shouldn't even be a conversation anymore because of what the legacy I got. But now for them is once they start their businesses, how am I able to invest in their businesses? Do they have to go borrow money? Do they have to, what is it, crowdfund? Forgot the word. Yeah. Or as a responsible parent who's leaving a legacy while still alive, I'm able to make sure that my children's future is so secure that they don't start at level 5 anymore. They start at level 10 now, where I'm the one who's giving capital. And so when we're gone, the financial legacy or generational legacy, you started with education. It's not necessarily going to school, but it's the conversations of, this is how you use money. These are the skills of money. These are the tools of money. This is how you generate income. This is how you invest income. This is how you save. This is how you navigate wealth. That's the educational part. The second part is, this is how you grow wealth. We don't give wealth. We don't leave you things so that you squander them. Your goal is to grow everything you have. And the next generation has to start in a better place. And I think it really starts with conversation. Like I said, my parents haven't given us a big chunk of money, but they gave us knowledge and gave us assignment.
Yeah.
And so that we can already start doing. And then, of course, there's investing for our children, because you never know what happens. But making sure that if anything happens, even if something happens and I stop working, then what? What happens to our lifestyle? Do my kids change schools? Those are things we had to have conversations with our wealth manager and financial planning, that if something happens to, let's say, my voice tomorrow, my husband and I use our voices, what happens? Are you changing lifestyles, or have you prepared for that?
Oh gosh, for me, that is, I can't even speak now, because with my kids as well, that's something that I wish to instill, the whole thing about financial education, because in most households, literally a conversation taboo. You don't talk to your parents or the adults about money.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, what are you leaving me? Why are we having this conversation? What's happening? And that brings me to the next question, Mpoomy. Like, when we're building this legacy, talk a lot about, your dad had to go out and work, you have to go and work. It's all about us still being around. On the other extreme, should a loved one leave us first, what's the importance of financial preparedness in that regard?
I think it can save a whole family from strife and from even falling apart. I think one of the biggest fights that happen at a funeral when it's time to be grieving is that, how much do you have? How much do you have? How much do you have?
Family meeting, when you call everyone.
Family meetings. Exactly. And most times, we all know, when things like that happen, most times financially everyone is going through their own thing. And because emotions are so heightened, naturally so, everyone is on defense mode, everyone is just trying their best. But if there's no financial planning, it's so easy to separate a whole family. Then you find a fight break out about, this is what you did 10 years ago, but it's just all the emotions coming up. And in a moment where families should come together, it then becomes a moment where families separate. But if there's financial planning, and we were so blessed with my mother-in-law, she did such and Brendan talks about this in our podcast, is that his mother took it very seriously to plan for her life and what happens afterwards. And so during a hard time, the family was able to come together. And so I think that's the importance of that, is if you plan properly, you give your family, your children, your friends, you give them a chance to grieve you properly without worrying about what next. Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense. From my side, I'll just share a personal story. When my mom passed, so we lost it 2 years ago. She passed away on the 20th of June.
Yeah.
And by that time, payday was on the 25th of June.
Yeah.
So you literally have to split yourself in two. So it's the grieving side, and then it has to go into planning mode, and that planning mode needs money. And the gift that my mom gave us is the gift of conversation. She was very vocal about what she wanted for her final send off from the type of service that she wanted, how long she wanted it, the type of coffin that she wanted, down to the headstone that she wanted.
Yeah.
When we're having a conversation and she's talking to us about this, you know, like this lump in your throat, because it's like we have to think of a day when you're not here, like but when when the day came and the Lord called her home, there was a calmness that came with being able to give her the send off that she wanted, because those difficult conversations were had when she was still around. You might not appreciate it when they're there because it takes you to a very quote unquote dark place. But knowing that we gave her the kind of send off that she wanted, that she deserved, there's a certain peace of mind that comes with that. So from your side, those sort of conversations, those difficult conversations, would you advocate for them? I mean, you've already numerous times said that those conversations are very, very important. But how can we start them?
Sure. And I'm so glad that you shared your side, which has little to do with finances. So there's like two sides of it, where you know how a loved one wants to be sent off, right? And then there's the side of the financial planning. And so that's where you start seeing that the picture of legacy doesn't always have to do with money. But like you said, it has to do with conversation. And I mean, the conversation on death is really, so it's really uncomfortable, and I don't want to sit here and be like, oh no, this is how you approach it, these are the 10 steps to it. But I think I think the approach to it, perhaps it might not always start with that hectic conversation, but easing our families into uncomfortable conversation makes it easier for us to talk about the most drastic one. So for example, talking about how a parent has hurt you or how a loved one has hurt you, just confrontation, let me put it that way. Confrontation is a good step to say, okay, from now on, our relationship is based on vulnerability. It's based on being real. And like you said, your mom gave you the gift of conversation, meaning she was able to create a space where you can be vulnerable, because only vulnerability can create that space where it's not like everyone is running to their corners and hiding, but you create a safe space. So I think that's my landing place is, first, let's create safe spaces within our relationships. Safe space does not mean we have to be best friends, we have to agree with each other, but a level of safety because you care about this person. Once the safety is created, then we can have those conversations. Because if there's no safety and you want to know about my plans after life, I'm thinking, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with my money?
Are you planning?
What do you want to do with my house? But if there's safety between amongst us, then I know that it's for the good, it's for the benefit of everyone. And then there's safety in conversating, and then it's not so big. It's like I can tell you, oh, I love tulips, those are the flowers I want at my funeral. But we're not tensed up. And so I think it's important that we first learn how to create a level of safety with the people that we love, so that we can talk about money without feeling like you're trying to take from me, so that we can talk about death without feeling like you wishing the worst on me, so that we can talk about all these other things without feeling fear. So I hope I've answered you and say, start by creating safe spaces, easing into it, and then when we start having those conversations, it's like that's an easy conversation for my husband and I, because it's safe. Another aunt, I don't know if I could have that conversation with her, because that safety hasn't been created. Yes.
Uncomfortable conversations in safe spaces.
Safe spaces.
How are we looking like in the comment section, bringing people into our conversation here?
There are a lot of
let's take a few before we say goodbye. Malebo _Lee says that is generational wealth, not the tangible stuff, but the skills to grow. Taking on the baton and run to the race. So that's on, our parents set the foundation, but we need to take it further.
I just want to jump in. I don't know if you saw it. I saw a great question that's often asked, is it important to have a will if you haven't yet acquired assets? Absolutely, yes. And I'll make an example by saying, let's say I don't have any assets, but I have a child or a cat or whatever. that is meaningful to me. I'll use a child as an example. If you don't have a will, the person you don't trust with your child might have a say in how your child grows up. So that's the importance of a will. You get to decide how your life moves on past you. So it's not just about a car, it's not just about a house, but it's about the people around you, the things you have, the things that the things that matter to you. It's not limited to assets, but everything about your life. In fact, even how you want your funeral to be, those are things you can put in your will. If you don't want them to wear a black jacket and you want them to wear a rainbow one, that's what you can put in your will. If you don't have a client, write down, please wear rainbow. But on a serious note, it's just to give instruction on how you want the things that matter to you to be treated. Off to make a will right now. Great.
Please run. Just for the interest of time, guys, you did say at the beginning, thank you, Mpoomy, for that by engaging, you stand a chance to extend this conversation live with Mpoomy on the 14th of June. And we do have a winner of the exclusive double ticket, and it's Berenice Joy J.
I saw her name a lot.
Berenice Joy J. I hope I did that. Is the winner. Congratulations. Please send us your DM, your details, and the One Life team will be in contact with you. So maybe in closing, for me, what can people look forward to at the live recording?
Oh man, I think first taking it back to Cape Town, it was just such a beautiful day of we were in the Cape Town rooftop and we just connected with people. I'm obsessed with connecting with people. It doesn't matter whether it's over food, over drinks, or over conversation. So initially everyone was just connecting and we were talking and it was a beautiful space. And then we had a conversation. My husband and I spoke about life-changing lessons, and it went from money to losing a loved one to our dating styles and love languages, and it was just really interactive, and it was so fun when the audience came in. And so I think even Johannesburg, we're gonna announce who my anchor or my guest is, and it's an incredible person who we're gonna learn a lot from. I believe we'll announce soon. But yeah, I look forward to connecting with everyone. I love social media, but meeting people in person and saying, how are you? What are you busy with? What's exciting in life right now? And just engaging, having these conversations, having these questions asked. For example, the question about the will, we can talk about it for so long, and it can change our life. Something so simple can change everything. So yeah, but beautiful food, beautiful vibes. I believe music. It's fun. If you've been to an unlimited fest, you know that when we do something, we do it well, and you're gonna have fun and you're gonna meet great people. If you've watched our podcast, you know that when we have a conversation, we go all the way there. So put all of those things together in person, and we've got ourselves a good day.
Can't wait. Guys, if you did not win a ticket, please do visit our link in bio to get an obligation-free funeral cover quote from One Life, and you have a chance to still be in the room on the 14th with Mpoomy as she takes the reins on all things life-changing lessons. Please do follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. All updates that have to do with the life-changing